Welcome back, and let's talk about suicide. The notion, the idea of taking your own life. And the idea of taking your own life to a lot of people is seen as one of the ultimate taboos in life, and it is. The notion of taking your own life is seen as a great failure, a great shame, an embarrassment in some cases. Because when someone successfully takes their own life, it's always linked to mental illness or stress or something negative. The last straw, they couldn't take any more, they were abused, and so on and so forth. And I totally understand that. And I know in a lot of cases of suicide, it is always linked to some major event in life, such as abuse or major stress or something, a mental illness. And in a lot of cases, it's a miracle he lasted this long, or it's a miracle she lasted this long. And to a lot of people, the idea of taking their own life is one thing they could never do. But to me personally, the idea of suicide is actually one of the best ways out in life, to me. Okay? And before you go to the comment section or whatever and flip your shit going, how dare I think suicide is good, how dare I, how dare I, how dare I, and so on and so forth, it's wrong in a million ways. Before you flip your nuts and all that, hear me out. My way in life is, man tries to take control of every part of his life. Who he loves, what he eats, what he drinks, or woman, what he drinks, who he makes out with, his friends, his work. He tries to control every part of his life, but doesn't take control of his death. Man makes a big deal of saying he's the master of his own fate. He's so on and so forth. He's this, he's that. He controls his life. He's the king of his world. But yet, doesn't come to the idea that he's going to die. That there is an end. There is an end to life. And there will be. Your story has an ending. You are like a book, okay? Each book has an ending. And getting back to what I was saying, I see suicide as the best way out. Okay? I've been in conversations where I brought up the idea that suicide is the best way out, and I've had people gang up on me, flipping their shit and going so on and so forth, saying it's wrong, it's immoral, and blah de blah de blah de blah de blah de blah de so on and so forth. They all ganged up on me and so on and so forth. But people don't realise that with suicide, you get to choose when you die, how you die, and when you want to. Okay? Picking suicide, like I said, is the best way out. Because my view is, growing old is horrendous. And it is. Growing old is fucked up, messed up. And let's be honest, like I said in an earlier video, the last 4 to 5 years of your life will be miserable. Okay? A lot of people don't want to think about the idea of taking their own life, or the idea, like I said in a previous video, that they're going to die one day. But like I said before, you need to come to accept that you're going to perish one day. You're not eternal. You're not immortal in this world anyway, in this life anyway. And so, my view on suicide is, it's the best way out. There are 4 ways you're going to die. Only 4 ways. There can only be 4 ways to die. Firstly is sudden death, which is a shot to the head, hit by a car, a sudden death. Number 2, sudden illness. The same but a little bit slower. Number 3, organ failure, which is miserable and debauched. And 4, frailty. The problem is, most of you won't get 1 and 2. You won't get sudden death, unless you opt for it. And you won't get sudden illness. The mass majority of you will get frailty and organ failure. Or one or the other, or both. And that is messed up. The idea is, you're going to grow old. And it's going to get dark, it's going to get messed up, and you're going to be on probably 8 different types of medication to keep everything ticking. But the problem is, you're going to reach a point where even medication doesn't work. You're going to have surgeries over and over probably. And the last year of your life is going to be so fucked up, you're going to beg for death. As I said, growing old is messed up, it's depressing, and it's dark. And my view is, committing suicide is the best way out. Because you get to choose when you die, how you die. That's what I see. The notion of growing old, to me, is terrifying worse than death. The idea that I'm going to lose all my faculties, that I'm going to basically not be able to control my bowel anymore, that I won't be able to ever walk anymore, my mind will wear, my skin will rot, but basically, it will basically fall apart. I will sag. My joints will basically seize up. Then all you're left is a pile of worn out organs in a locked body, in a body you can't move. And that's why I say suicide is best. And you can flip your nut and tell me how dare I, how dare I, how dare I. But think about it. Growing old is fucked up. And it is. Who enjoys growing old? And I don't mean 60, 70 blissful health. I mean 80, 90 organ failure, frailty. You can't control your bowels anymore. In some cases you might have a colostomy bag. Your lungs are failing. It's like breathing through a straw, COPD. Aneurysms, heart problems, constricted aortas, Alzheimer's, cancer. I'm not talking blissful age, or we're talking 50 to 60. I'm talking 80 to 90, where your body really does begin to break down. And my view is, that is the most messed up way to die, growing old. And as I say, that's why my view is, suicide is the best. So I've come to accept that I'm probably going to kill myself in my 50s or 60s, or maybe early 70s. I've come to accept that. Because I would rather go out strong in the way I'd be remembered than clinging on to any scrap of life. Being hooked up to tubes, be racked on medication, have a brain that's basically eating itself. That's nightmare fuel. The idea is, oh, I'm not talking blissful age, I'm talking the age in which you start to break down. So I've seen it firsthand. I've seen it firsthand when someone literally breaks down in front of you. And the problem is, there's no paradigm of the speed of breakdown. It can be 10 years or 6 months. There's no paradigm to how fast you'll physically break down. And that's even more terrifying because how random it becomes. But some people can live to 90, 98 and not have much problem, then all of a sudden, within 4 months, the whole body breaks down. And you can say to me, this video is messed up, it's wrong, it's so on and so forth, it's sending out the wrong message. But think about it though. Do you want to grow old? And like I said, not a blissful age, not a 60 golden years. I mean, travelling the world, or retiring, or whatever. I mean, getting a few grey hairs, and looking a little bit regal. I'm talking 80, 90. Those years, the years where you physically self-destruct in every sense. Where it's not just a heart problem, it's also stomach cancer, it's also bowel problems, like I said, a colostomy bag in some cases. You can't walk, you're basically bedbound. Would you want that? Because that's how most of you will end up. Yes, one or two of you may get hit by a car in your 40s, or do some daredevil shit with parachuting and then the chute doesn't pull. But that's 0.1% of you. The rest of you will grow old in a debauched, messed up, miserable way. And like I said, this video is dark, and yes, it's not nice, but you have to come to understand, would you rather go out being remembered the way you were, or go out clinging to anything, being a worn out sack of bones you can't work, and organs that are barely clinging on to life? How would you want to be remembered? Be remembered as the strong, virulent person who loved life, or the person so terrified for the end that he clinged onto a four-leaf clover hoping for health? But in the end he passed away in a miserable, degraded state. That's my way around it. Think about that. And yes, you can disagree. And you can say I'm sending the wrong message, and you can say I'm sending the wrong message, and so on and so forth, and yada yada yada, how can you think this? I'm only 20. Why am I thinking about suicide in my 60s? And yes, it's dark and so on and so forth, and you can comment, complain, and otherwise, but think about it though. You need to think about this. As in my earlier video, you're going to die no matter what you do. Maybe in 60 years, maybe in 100. Don't care when, but it's going to happen. You've got no choice in this matter. You're not the Teratopsis. You're not the immortal jellyfish. Wish I was, but you're not. Okay? You're a mortal human. And that's the thing. And the thing I couldn't stand more than anything, I've brought this topic up a lot of times. I brought it in person. I've brought it up a lot of times, and I get ganged up on a lot about how dare I think this, how dare I believe about the idea how suicide's the best way out, how this and that and that and this and this and that, how dare I? But then who sounds more bizarre? The person who muses mortality and understands that, yeah, I'm going to be in a coffin one day. And thinks, but no, I don't want to spend the last 10 years of my life physically breaking down, or be 98 and clinging on to anything, being bedbound, requiring care all the time. Who sounds more bizarre? The person doing that, the person who actually thinks about his end, which will happen, may not now, but in a long time soon, or the people who shook to the back of their head thinking it will never happen. The people who act like they'll never die. People who think, oh, it's 20 years away, I got a good 40 years left, I've got a good 60 years, I can keep going. Who seems more bizarre now? The person who comes to terms with acceptance, or the people who act like it's never going to happen? Who's more bizarre now? Who's more messed up? Anyway, I'm Packwill, thanks for watching.